Gotta collect them lore. Pokepepe! Welcome everyone to the third episode of the Mere Martels podcast. I'm your host here, Kyron, live on the 5th of May 2026. And today is an episode where we're going to be diving into collecting collectors, my kind of backstory about collecting. And then we're going to be collecting some collections right at the end with our usual live minting. So I guess I wanted to start today's episode was just talking about, I guess, my experiences with collecting over the years and why I have become so interested in collecting digital art in particular, but also various other types of collectibles in these last recent years. And I want to start off with a little story about my relationship to the physical world. And my relationship is I break things. Like I get so disappointed with stuff, with having physical things because they degrade. I break them. I got this new phone, right? I had it and I'm like, all right, the first new phone in 6 years. Got to be careful with it. And I was relatively careful, but I didn't have the case on it yet. And it's going to be hard to see, but essentially whilst running, I threw it kind of out of my pocket onto the floor, and I already have like a very minor like scratch coming right along the screen here. And, not the biggest deal in the world, but it was a reminder of something I learned as a child, which was that things degrade, they break them, and if I put too much like joy into having a physical thing that'll stay there forever and like won't change, that's not how things work. Like they degrade over time, things do change. And so I think this was like a nervousness of something I've had before, and yet that remains like undaunted in terms of like the collecting of things. I think it's a human, I don't know what you'd call it, like obviously a hobby, but there's something wiring in our brains. And I believe, even back in caveman days, I'm sure there was kids and adults and stuff who would collect like cool rocks or various types of sticks or just random things because it's like, we like to just get things and to have them and for them to be ours. And so like most kids of the 90s, I guess, I was born in 92, I collected a whole bunch of random ass things when I was in primary school. Pokemon cards obviously were one of the big ones. I remember having like Tarzos, some Pogs. Those are the things that really come to mind. Even book collections, I guess. I had my little bookcase, was setting that up, and some magazines and things like this. And as I have learned over the years, like, those things do degrade. You lose them. All those Pokemon cards that I had, which I don't think I would have had an expensive collection now, but now it's like, that still would have been cool to have if I'd had some of those originals, like the Dragonite card that I got for going to, maybe it was the first Pokemon movie. I'm not even sure. I remember getting a promo card for sure. And I think like that was one of those things where I've had some experiences in my life, particularly with reading, where you go through a phase of like, I look back to my childhood and things that I did kind of before 16 or 17 and go, all right, if I did those things back then and then I didn't do them for a while, like what was it? What was the thing? So for me, reading, for example, I used to love reading until I got to high school. And then I started having to read all of these stupid ass books about like looking for Alibrandi. I didn't care about Shakespeare. I never appreciated Shakespeare. Maybe today I would, but back then when I was forced to read Macbeth and Othello and stuff, nah. So I kind of lost the joy for reading and then only rediscovered it, in my early 20s again when I'm like, oh wait, I actually do love reading. This is awesome. I just don't like reading stuff that I'm forced to read. And I would say something probably similar happened with collecting. I loved it as a kid, and then probably just over the years of these experiences of like digital things, not digital things, physical things, falling away, losing them, breaking them, and things like that, going like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't really enjoy this and things like this. So then really finding out like, oh, I can collect digital things now and have ownership of them. That was just like a breakthrough for me of being like, yeah, this is the way to go. This is super cool. So I missed, I guess, what you would call like the NFT craze of 2021. Not because I didn't know about it, but mostly because I was very wary of like, man, there's a lot of expensive stuff going on, and seems like a bubble, and it was. But now that we have passed that, and we're in a much more boring time and things like this, it's so much more fun collecting things and having like digital collections, which I can create for myself, I can curate. And I definitely am more aware now that these can break over time, like with link rots, with things not being, properly uploaded to Arweave or IPFS or things like this. Your collection can go away, but I mean, there's certainly ways to collect on-chain digital things, so which are written into the blockchain. And then that way, it would take Ethereum to go away until that happened, which, could happen someday, who knows. But it certainly has reinvigorated a passion in me for collecting things. And I've read a couple of pieces recently. I might even switch my screen here now so you can see two of these. The Artist Mindset, Collecting Collectors by Phrase, and another one here by Musical Netter on the Collector's Mindset of Relationships, not transactions. And they got me thinking about a couple of different things of, one, the various types of collectors. I certainly am someone who is a lurker. I have always been this way in terms of digital, and actually, no, probably in the physical world as well. Going to a nightclub or something like that, or a bar, I would much prefer to be the kind of fly on the wall. What would you call it? The perks of being a wallflower or whatever, where you can observe, sit around, see all the interactions. I don't necessarily want to be like in the thick of it and part of it. And I certainly behave that way in most mediums that I participate in, which aren't as controlled as this environment here, where it's just me talking to the camera, or perhaps me conversing with someone on the other side of the world in an interview form, or with my co-host of the Mere Mortals podcast in general, Juan. But I certainly, like on Discord, on forums and things like that, and Twitter and X, like I'm not in the fray jumping into things. I certainly prefer more to observe. And so I was thinking, like, this is probably something that artists would feel and perhaps know about, but it's very similar to podcasting. And I guess like podcasting has made me understand more about being on the opposite side. So instead of collecting, being the creator. And so for those who don't know, I've been podcasting now for 6, getting on 7 years, starting in 2019, with various different types. And if you go to the Mere Mortals podcasts or check out the channel, you'll see that I've got all sorts of things going from book reviews to AI to this new one on art. Or there's a fitness one I do with my friend, conversations. And what I've come to appreciate over time is, like, one, people can and will listen, but you might not necessarily know about it. So if you think about listeners in the terms of like collectors, which I somewhat do, I think there's a pretty similar analogy of they're spending their time instead of perhaps their money with you and with your creation. But the aspect of them perhaps enjoying it, appreciating it, but you not knowing about their enjoyment and appreciation can still be there. Or there is a disconnect where maybe you'll see the views come in or perhaps some money come in, but you won't really feel that deep connection of like, oh, someone's actually really appreciating what I'm creating. And I think it takes a little bit of an extra lift on your part to make that connection real. So for myself, over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to go to the USA, to Canada, to Germany, Poland, and meet people who have listened to the podcast, who I would say I've collected them as in terms of fans and viewers, and had established that connection of, oh shit, like these people really enjoy what I'm creating. And I don't consider myself an artist, but certainly I do podcasts and I create them. And having that connection and these relationships, not transactions, that musical Netta talks about, Lynette Bennett Grant, that is a real true thing that I've felt and experienced. And it does take that abstraction away from it's either just money or listens, or there's all sorts of weird, emails coming in or something like this. You can get closer to forming those relationships and transactions, but I guess there is a difference, perhaps. There is a difference of the real life meeting someone and then in the digital realm as well. And there's various benefits and negatives to that. I certainly prefer the digital realm for certain types of relationships, and then the physical realm for others. So this is something I think that artists over the time have to figure out what they enjoy and how they connect with their connecting collectors, if you want to put it that way. I might title the episode that. That's not too bad. And I guess the real treasure of creating, connecting, collecting is the friendships that we make along the way. Yep, I brought the meme back, which is going to get us into today's artist, who I'm going to talk about and who I think is doing some really cool stuff. So for those of you who are not aware of Loredangoo is her X profile. She's a artist from Jakarta, I believe, Indonesia. And there's a little bio that I read of her somewhere, but we'll just talk a bit about how I found her and why I've really appreciated her art and what she creates, and why we'll really bring this all around and try and connect these threads of what I was talking about right at the start, or the opening statement. So when I was getting into the kind of shaping ecosystem, I very purposefully set out to create a new format for me to think or analyze and view artists. And I think I've talked about this before, that I'm perhaps more interested in the person than their art itself as a pure medium of expression. I'm very unlikely, and not that often, will go to a museum or to an art show to appreciate the work itself without any of the backstory. I've tried that before, and usually I just find myself getting bored, or not understanding what it is that's being portrayed. Certainly, perhaps a really physically imposing sculpture or a work of art, like when I was in Buenos Aires and I went to one of the museums there, and they have a canvas that's 13 meters long by 3 meters high or something. Yeah, sure, that's impressive, and you can appreciate the art and skill behind it. But in terms of evoking emotions and things like this, I usually find I get more of that if I understand the person deeper and then connect to the art via that way. So rather than, art to person, it's more person to art. And perhaps the art is just a quick and easy way for me to find the person, I guess, or learn more about them. And so this is a long-winded explanation of saying I joined the Shape ecosystem. I started up a new X profile, and I did it intentionally to try and find people and then kind of just sift through them over time and go all right, what is this person about? How do they respond to people? How do they act in the real world? What type of art are they producing? How are they producing it? Where are they producing it? All these sorts of things. And I found Law. I kind of followed her for a bit and then dropped off the radar. And then, I don't know, she just kept on popping back up. And I took this as a sign of I should dive more into what she's doing and her backstory. So I dived into her Twitter, and by God, has she put out an ungodly amount of posts over the years. I'll see if I can find this real time of how many she has. It's like tens of thousands maybe, and she's been around since like joined October 2009, and I was going through some of her old stuff, and it was written in Indonesian, I guess the language, a lot of it, and then nowadays it's mostly English. And she's just been doing and creating things for a super long time. If you jump over onto her Instagram, illustrator and animator, kawaii, but not really. And, this was the website I was trying to find as well, loredangoo.xyz. I knew it was somewhere, but I was struggling to find it because on her X profile, it's a transient link. Oh no, it's 404. Maybe she needs to fix that up. Anyway, she had a pretty cool website before. But you can go through here and see her style. As she mentioned, it's kawaii, and I'm definitely mispronouncing that, but I'll do my best in an animated style. Super vibrant colors, very pops out at you. A lot of Shibas, Shiba influence. Everything has a Shiba in it, almost everything. And I think what really kind of drove me to this or connected me with this was my ex-roommate, Charlie. She was like a huge fan of just cute things. She loved cute things, and whenever I saw this, it would make me think of her and the I guess stuff that she would sort of like, enjoy, and has gifted me over the years some of the things that I own. Funnily enough, this shirt came from my friend Peter, who is a podcast supporter, collector, a collector of the podcast, if you will. And when I lost my bags in Canada, he very kindly donated me a lot of old shirts. And actually quite a few fans of the podcast have done that. So add probably the only physical things I really enjoy collecting is old clothes from other people. Perhaps that's my physical collection that I'm making. But if you just go through her Instagram, you get a very good idea of the types of works that she's created over the years. You can also go on to behance.net and see some of the physical items and real world, I guess, advertisements or perhaps collaborations she's done. How her work as an artist actually goes into real life things as well, from phone cases to what else do we over here? I think those are stickers, all sorts of cool stuff. So what I really liked about her is she's super experimental with things. Like, she'll go on every platform, and whilst I might not enjoy every platform and enjoy collecting on there, I do like that she's willing to try things out. And so I'm sure over the years, like, there's all sorts of dead links that she's had with Foundation, for example, and stuff like that. Deep Sea Baby, she published this not so long ago, her first artwork on Solana, minted by 6 awesome friends. I think even in the, what was I showing just before, where she was like, I collect you. You collect my art, me collect you. Who else wants to be mine? I think that just fit in perfectly with today's episode. So just going through a couple of other things here. She's also surprisingly like adept at, what would I call it, like coding or vibe coding or trying things out. So she's got a little vibe coding thing here she was doing, creating for a little collector leaderboard, which unfortunately doesn't support the shape chain at the moment. So she might need to vibe code it a little bit more. And then also using other, I guess, culture within her work. And you'll see a lot of things related to like fish denza, for example, or some things related to like Xcopy. I collected one of her works over here. This is my little collection of what I've been trying to accumulate with her. And so if this actually loads, you can go through and see some of the things I've got here. So she's got like, we are so click, right? As well as other small pieces here and there of different collections of various sizes, small, large, the sad Shibas, Summer Fever. She's done some collaborations with other people. I know I've seen them. What else did we have over here? If you go onto a transient profile, regularly puts out various types of things which you can make, and 111, 30, one of ones. There's these Fiden stars and Kalpa station and things like this. I actually really like this one. We'll be coming back to that one day. And on objects on Tezos, for example, huge tons of stuff. I've got a little bid over here of 100 Tezos for her one of one of the bloom sweeper. So I should probably reach out to the person who owns that and see if I can do that. And what did it say just then? Illustrator, since 2015 she's been doing this, but maybe even a little bit earlier, because I very much doubt that she started so late in life, or perhaps it was like, taking it seriously and doing that. So I've got a little collection of her stuff over here, gradually expanding that. And I think what I like is also, once somebody has a body of art, you can kind of go back into the past and try and like snipe some things or lurk around, and some people who might have got caught in the NFT craze of 2021 and paid what they would now think is like huge sums of money, or like they thought it would hold as much value and didn't, and then I can come in on the sly and sneakily grab that, although someone else is doing the same thing, because so here's one I did on Mega ETH for her as well, for example. But there's where is it? It was over here somewhere, and I've noticed there's someone very similar to me. So if you go onto pretty much any one of her works, you'll see I've got a collection offer. But there was this also other person, Leora Villani, who's doing something very similar. So I've got a little mini battle with her to collect as much lore as I can. And with all of that being said, I want to jump off to the most collectible thing ever. When you think of collectibles, what do you think of? You think of perhaps Pokemon. Well, she's got a Pokepepe series here, which she's done Generation 1, 2, and then the third one just came out. And I don't know if that implies she's going to be doing all 10 generations of Pokemon. If not, if so, that's a shit ton of work. Good on her. And so, they've got the Chico Pepe. I've got the Wapapet, which is pretty cool. I like him. Akapi, Pepentai, Pepeneko. It's getting to the point, like, I know the first 2 seasons, okay. After Gen 3, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. So I actually hope she only stops at Gen 3, because I won't know any of the others beyond that. But that one is out, and if you mint 6 of them, then she also gives you like a poster of a digital poster of being like a max minter. So what we're going to do now is grab 6 of them, and we'll see. I don't think we'll be able to see them real time, because I believe last time I did this, it took a little while for the actual like images to upload and things like this. So what we can do is just mint them, and then perhaps you can jump into my wallet later on and check it out. But we'll click that button, and the nice thing with the Shape Network is things just go rapidly. So I now own 6 of the Pokepepe Gen 3s by Loredangoo. So I will post about this later when I do the actual full public promotion of this episode. And with that should take me to joint top holder of the Pokepepe collection as well. So yeah, here we go, 13 now. So maybe we can even see what we got real time if owned by you. Still only showing 13, so that one's still loading there. So we got the Pinot, Vigo Pepe, Peso. See, even now I'm like, I don't know what the original Pokemon for these were. I'll need to have to get into it. 273 still loading. More Pepe, P dot. Did I have that before? I can't remember. I know I had that one. And we're just going to have to wait for 273 and see what shows up for that, but I'll find that out shortly. So that's it for today. Just some thoughts on collecting. What kind of collector are you? And perhaps even worth reaching out to the artists that you're collecting, because this is my version of doing that, and letting Law know that I really appreciate her work, and that she has indeed collected me as a collector. And just spreading a little bit of love in the world, because I think that's helpful for everyone, and for artists out there, it's nice for them to know that someone really appreciates their work and what they're doing. So we're going to leave it there for today. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Ciao for now. Kyron out.